Hello, I'm Dr. Sunny Fridge. Welcome to another episode of Rise and Shine with Dr. Sunny, the show that helps you unleash your inner speaking superpowers. Each week, you get tips, tools, and techniques to help you become a better communicator. In celebration of Women's History Month, we're continuing to shine the spotlight on women speakers and authors. On this edition of Rise and Shine, author Jane Parmel shares how to weather a superstorm in your life. Plus, I'll give you details on how to share your virtual message with confidence and ease when you attend my free monthly online workshop, so stay tuned. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, share in the comments below where you're watching from. And if you're listening by podcast, subscribe so you never miss a show. If you enjoy our programs, please consider making a donation of any amount at wytv7.org to help our CBN broadcasters continue the mission to bring you programming that educates, empowers, and encourages. I believe we all have a purpose and the potential to live our best life. My guest has over 30 years experience in education and event management. Jane Parmel helps coaches, creatives, and small business owners to advance in profitability. Welcome, Jane. How are you?
I'm good, Dr. Sunny. How are you?
Good. So welcome to the show. We met because of a book project, and I am so happy to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about your journey and Voices of the 21st Century, Resilient Women Who Rise and Make a Difference.
Well, I thank you for having me today, and I love the way you say the title of the book. It sounds so great. It was really a labor of love, I think, on the part of the 40 women that are in it, and a great message for people that can use any kind of boost to their day, their life, their world.
That is so true. By the way, do you have your book? I have got mine. I'm so loving it.
Mine.
Yes, it just came this week and I am excited. And I also, as I mentioned earlier, I've got this cup that says I'm a best-selling author so that when I have my tea or coffee, it's just a reminder to celebrate myself. So I know that you want to do the same. So I love that Women's Speakers Association has done that for us. How long have you been a member, by the way?
I was a member a long time ago. I let my membership lapse. And last year, I guess it was right before we were all told to stay home that I decided to reconnect. And I was just interested in all of the training that they had and all of the opportunities that they offered. So I got involved again last year.
Wonderful. Well, that is how that we've come to connect. So how did you come about coming up with your story, Buoyancy Ballooning Through a Superstorm? Tell us more about that.
Well, I realized one thing I didn't put in my story was the fact that part of our event planning business was doing a lot of balloon deliveries and decorations. But of course, SuperStorm Sandy hit the Northeast in 2012 with the fierce blow to the entire seaboard. But the New York area took a very big hit. Our store, we had a brick and mortar store, which we did our event planning out of. And it really suffered a tremendous amount of damage. Water came in, water came out, and the destruction was massive.
Wow. Now, I forgot to just ask you, just please tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
I work with people on profitability. I like to have them change things up. And what I really do is we work with what they've already done, giving them that empowered nature of, you've done it, you've succeeded. Let's see where there might be some things that we can tweak, we can fix, make it more efficient, create more profitability, get your message out to more people, and also have a game plan for that resilient need sometimes that might arise.
Now tell me, what's your why for what you do?
It's probably based in the fact that as a small business, I like to even call them micro and mini businesses. We didn't have guidance. And there was so many times that you had questions that you had no one to ask because, people were either really, really big or they were really, really small. And I don't mean people, but I mean their businesses, the size, and they just couldn't relate. And we got a lot of bad information with good intentions, but bad information that didn't apply to the size of the business we were. And I watch people struggle. I've seen people not know how to price, not know how to make more time in their day, more or less, and be able to realize the profit that they should be making as a business owner.
So please share with the audience your story that you have in our book.
Well, like I said, it was really becoming resilient, or actually recognizing the resilience that we knew we had after Superstorm Sandy came in. We had 2 floors of in a building in Coney Island, Brooklyn, and Coney Island, unfortunately, really took a very big hit. There was about 5.5 to 6 feet of water throughout the whole area, and anything on the first floor, anything on the street level, was really decimated. Um, we tried to do as much as we could. We couldn't move everything. We lost what we lost, but you come in the next day, you see, soaking wet teddy bears and, and invitation books and props and things, and it hurt deeply because it was at the time, a 20-year-old business, and my partner and I really put our hearts and souls into it. But my biggest thing with the whole situation was the fact that community helped us be more resilient. And when I say community, I mean my total community, not just the neighborhood, the the partner businesses on the block and in the neighborhood. The people that worked for me were they were tremendous. And then friends and family that were coming by. Some would just come by to see what was going on in the destruction, but they would also come by with food. And we were lucky enough to have a partner business across the street from us. My brother-in-laws, whenever they would bring food, because we had to go out and get food for everybody, they were working so hard to clean up, they would bring it for us too. So it was just that sense of together we can do this, together we can come back, together we can actually make the whole area better than it was before.
Wow,
Story.
such a tough time for you. I could only imagine. Now, I grew up in Queens, so I know where Astoria is. On my way to the city, to Manhattan, I would have to pass Astoria train stop. Tell people who may not know Coney Island, what is that?
Okay, so I grew up in Astoria, and well, as the crow flies, they'll say 8 miles from Astoria. But here in New York, when we say you have to drive 20 miles to get to something, Coney Island is known as the amusement park here in New York. It is basically an amusement area, recreation area. We have a New York Aquarium, the Cyclone, over 100 years old. It's a great area. It's got its ups and downs, as any neighborhood does. It is a diverse neighborhood, and a changing neighborhood right now. So back in the time, at the time of the storm, it was just an area where people came, they did what they had to do, they worked, they put their heads down, and they got things done. And that was the community that we built there. It's the southern part of Brooklyn. It's as low as you can go down on the Long Island scale before you wind up in the water.
And so, as we read your story, what do you want us to feel after reading your story?
In the book, there were so many stories of people that had survived domestic abuse, or breast cancer, and different things like that. And I almost felt like my story was not as pivotal, but I realized that storms come to people on the degree that it's going to come to them. And there is somebody out there that maybe has gone through a storm, a tornado, a fire, a flood, something, anything. Um, I think that there's a way to be able to be there and let somebody else see as an example that you can um, go through it, come back out on the other side, and be better for it. And there's always that, if you'll pardon the pun, the sunny side of it to look at. You really have to look at the best side of everything. And yes, it was very destructive. I had a cousin that literally the back of his house was sheared off by the force of waves.
Wow.
That was devastating. That was very difficult. Our store can be rebuilt. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was in dire straits. It was a business. We rebuilt it, and every business can be rebuilt as long as you have the fortitude and the resilience to do it.
I certainly can relate to hearing a story when you feel like, my goodness, so much has been lost, but you say in your story that you had a chance to see another day.
Mm-hmm.
You were blessed. So
Yes.
yes. So let's move just a little bit to your business and the type of businesses that you deal with. How do you recognize the success of your client that you help, that you work with when you work with the coaches, the creatives, and small businesses?
I always gauge it in the steps that I see the forward movement. Whether I'm working with somebody that's, doing a brick and mortar store and just isn't making it, hey, maybe it's time to do something else. And when you see that light bulb go off, it was the same thing that I saw when I was teaching. When you would see the light bulb go off and the kid would go, oh, that's what you mean. I like that. That to me is the picture of success. People talk about the car you drive and the house you have and how much money you have in the bank. But for me, the real success comes in the fact that you've done what you've set out to do. You've done it your way. And you know what? You're happy. That's all that matters.
So what's one thing that you think that helps women in business? Because I understand you have a lot of business clients who are
Mhm.
women.
I would tell you the best thing is ask questions, open your mouth,
Mhm.
make sure you get a platform where you can be heard, and
Mhm.
you got to be heard. You got to make a pest of yourself sometimes to make sure that you are definitely listened to. And I think that's the best advice I can make for anyone, women especially, because they are usually not heard. But that's the thing.
And I love how you put that, because definitely we want our voices to be heard, which is something that Women Speakers Association offers. And I understand that you are a business connector. Tell us about that.
I am in their Global Business Connector program. We are providing local networking groups for our members in WSA, so that we offer things like Connect and Collaborates, event expert series. We do member networking so that people get to learn about what it is you do as a member, and we try to connect the dots. If you can help somebody else out, we give you the platform to be able to tell everybody about what you do.
That is wonderful. So many resources that you shared with us today. Now, what final thoughts of inspiration or a quote would you like to leave our audience with?
One thing I can always say is, and I've always said this to my mom, when you wake up in the morning and God has given you another day, be thankful for it, and you better be making something out of it, because he doesn't waste his time and he's not going to be wasting it on you. So make sure you do something good in the world every day.
With the time that we have, well, Jane Parmel, business owner, co-author of the women's book, Voices of the 21st Century. Actually, it's a book for everybody, but the voices of the 21st century, resilient women who rise and make a difference. Thank you for making a difference in the community that you serve. I appreciate you being my guest today and not wasting your time being here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunny.
That's all the time we have on this edition of Rise and Shine with Dr. Sunny. Again, thank you to my guest, business owner and Voices co-author, Jane Parmel. You can connect with Jane at www.janeparmel.com. If you'd like to connect with me for help to become a better presenter, I invite you to join my free monthly Speak and Shine workshop on Zoom. I'll help you unleash your inner speaking superpowers, some you didn't know you had. Spots are limited. To sign up, go to my Facebook page at facebook.com/I Rise and Shine. And you can register at my website, sunnyfridge.com. There you'll also find links to all my shows and podcasts, and you can get a copy of the book, Voices of the 21st Century, Resilient Women Who Rise and Make a Difference. Thanks for connecting. I'm Dr. Sunny. Remember, it's your time to rise and shine.